Thank you, Terramon.
Video games have been in our lives for a while now, and video games are a big part of Japanese culture. Japanese video games have created some very popular cultural figures in Japan. Some examples that you might know of are Pikachu, Pac-Man, and Mario. I'm certain everyone has at least heard of one of these characters or knows about them. But these characters are a big part of Japanese culture, almost to the point where you can't go to Japan without seeing any of these characters. But they also have a big impact on the economy. Japanese video games make up 6.5% of the economy, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's nearly 50 billion US dollars a year, which will make a big impact on a Japanese citizen's day-to-day life. Japanese people play 3 different genres of games we'll be talking about: rhythm games, fighting games, and JRPGs. I would discuss some other big genres in Japan, such as FPS games, Gundam games, or gacha games, but those aren't as big as the other 3, except gacha. Rhythm games are a very interactive video game genre that tend to be played on an arcade machine, but you can only find these arcade machines in Japan or Korea. But because companies want more money, they figured out that their game could be ported onto a console, so they've been doing that. The games are played to music in many different forms. Some games use drums, some use a washing machine, and one game just uses a floating piano. They're very difficult games, arguably the most difficult genre of video games, and they're everywhere in Japan. Rhythm games that you might be more familiar with are Osu, Beat Saber, and Piano Tiles. The biggest rhythm game in Japan that you can find almost anywhere is a game called Taiko no Tatsujin. You can find Taiko almost anywhere, and it's an extremely easy rhythm game, with the main demographic that plays the game being children, and also white tourists, aka Gaijin. The music you'll hear is some EDM, most likely some artists known as Camellia, XI, T. Pazolit. Also be hearing Denpa music, which is just a girl singing nonsense, and it's an extremely popular genre music in Japan. Some Denpa artists are Nanahira, Under 17, and Toromi. And the final genre that you'll probably hear is pop. K-pop and J-pop songs are very popular, and I don't know any K-pop or J-pop artists. Well, I know BTS, but some popular examples of rhythm games are Taiko no Tatsujin, Giradora, Mai Mai, Guitar Hero, Sound Voltex, Chunitum. Beatmania. And poppin' music. Alright, now we'll talk about JRPGs, aka the nerd genre. The acronym JRPG stands for Japanese Role-Playing Game. These games come in many different forms, but the most popular ones are just what people refer to now as copy and paste RPG games. Here are some photos of 5 different games, and you can see how the fighting system is the same in all of them. That's what I mean by copy and paste. There are 2 subgenres of JRPGs that I want to go over quickly, and those are strategy JRPGs and adventure JRPGs. Strategy RPGs are just the same game with a different story. Some popular examples of strategy JRPGs are Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, the Mother franchise, the Pokemon franchise, and the Fire Emblem franchise. These are the 5 most known JRPGs. And as you can see, they look exactly the same, but people love these games for different reasons, and usually people will play one game over another because they like the story or the characters. For example, people play Pokemon because of the cute Pokemon that you're probably aware of, and people will play a game like Final Fantasy. Action JRPG games are much different. Usually they have more creativity, and the developers of the game try to make more of a narrative for the game, while also focusing on the combat. Some stories are just awful, and other games have devoted a lot of their time just to making the stories and building their worlds. 2 great examples of this storytelling and world building are games called Elden Ring and Cyberpunk. Elden Ring is just a great example at how good world building in video games can be, and if you play the game you'd understand. Let me just say, I played this game for 38 hours straight when it first released, and I didn't regret it. I still don't. Cyberpunk is also just a great example of world building. Since most of the people watching this I'm assuming are weebs, the anime Cyberpunk Edgerunners took place in the same world as the game. Some great examples of adventure JRPGs are Elden Ring, God of War, The Witcher, Dark Souls 3, Kingdom Hearts, and Monster Hunter. And the final genre we'll talk about is the fighting game genre. Street Fighter, Tekken, Smash Bros. Tekken is funny. Street Fighter is dead. Smash Bros is for furries. The players don't wear deodorant for all three of these games. I have no idea why. Here are some clips.